All right, we are live.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us with this community preparation meeting for the full council. Today it's a big day for renters. We've got a number of very important votes. And again, I want to thank you on behalf of Councilmember Shama Sawant and her office for joining us. We're of course going to be talking about the exciting bills to be voted on, which include a resolution to extend the eviction moratorium through 2021, a law to ban school year evictions of school children, their families, educators, and school staff. We've also got exciting bill to close the loopholes in just cause legislation. That's the legislation that basically allows landlords to evict renters when their fixed term lease ends. We want to make it so that's not possible to do. And then another piece of legislation about giving renters the right to use COVID debt as a defense against eviction. That's a bill that was put forward by Councilmember Tammy Morales' office and co-sponsored now by Councilmember Shama Sawant. We're going to go through all of those and we'll have Councilmember Sawant coming in very shortly to provide us with that political context around these bills. And ultimately, what we really want to do is prepare our movement to give the strongest possible public comment testimony today at 2 p.m. So that we really win the strongest form of these bills possible. In order to do that, of course, we want to show people how to sign up for that public comment. Hopefully, many of you have already done that before, but hopefully also there's new people here. And so right now, why don't I go ahead and turn it over to Nick Jones in our office, who's going to show us step by step how we can sign up for that public comment. And we're going to be doing that in just about 25 minutes when the public comment period opens at noon. So go ahead, Nick Jones, take it from here.
Thank you, Adam. Everyone should be able to see my screen now. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning for these incredibly important votes that are going to be before the City Council today. So as Em said, hopefully folks are very familiar with this page at this point, but to be able to give public comment, you're all going to want to be able to find access to this. You'll be able to get there easily by just typing in Seattle public comment in whatever browser search bar you're using. It should be the top link, this publiccomment.gov link. Just click on that. We'll take you to this page, and then right at 12 o'clock, 2 hours before the council meeting later today, there'll be a form that goes live right here that we'll all fill out together kind of on this live stream in about 20 minutes here that I'll be able to go through with folks. But in the meantime, folks should definitely have this screen pulled up so that we are all ready to sign up together when the time comes. Certainly, corporate landlord lobbyists are going to be wanting to get their foot in the door first and try to dominate public comment, but it's incredibly important. Our movement is really a powerful force at today's council meeting to win these really crucial renter protections. So hopefully while folks are pulling this up, we can kind of get more into the ins and outs of what's going to be happening today, and I'll turn it back over to Adam.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you so much, Nick, for showing us that, and we'll be going through that again at the end of the meeting. My understanding, we were about to just put it over to Councilmember Sawant to give us, some of that orientation, political context to these bills, and also to update us on any new events coming out of briefing. My understanding is that Councilmember Sawant is occupied right now with preparing for full council. But given that, why don't we just essentially begin what we would have been doing after Councilmember Sawant gave us that kind of general context, which is really kind of hone in on some of the ways that we want to pressure city council members in the public comment period today. Obviously, each person is going to, focus on the bills that, most inspire them, most excite them. And at the same time, of course, as we're always emphasizing during these community prep meetings, we really want to make it clear to council members that when we're speaking as individuals, we're also representing a movement of working people, and that these bills, these renters protections, are all united. Just to give an indication before we begin to go into the details, and I'll let you folks know when Councilmember Sawan is available, of course. But just to give you an idea about how much support there is around these bills, myself, other volunteers, in the renters' rights movement, we are out with council staff too at farmers markets this weekend in different neighborhoods across the city. We got well over 500 people signing up for rent control, as an overriding demand. Of course, we know that rents have, gone up, I believe it's around 15% in the last 5 months. This represents corporate landlords recovering the lost profits from the year of COVID. And of course, it's on the backs of working people. But as we were talking and getting these signatures, 500 plus signatures, people expressed huge support, unanimous support in reality for the bills that are going to be voted on today. Hopefully, several of the people who are watching right now are here because of those engagements this weekend. And in addition to that, we have, I believe, just in the last weekend, 637 emails coming in support of the various pieces of legislation. These are renters protections, part of our overriding renters Bill of Rights that we've been fighting for years. But right now, we are on the cusp of winning some really exciting and frankly first in the nation in terms of just the ending the school year evictions is something that we've drawn off of from San Francisco, but in terms of its impact is just far wider in scope, and also just the urgent need to extend the eviction moratorium as this June 30th expiration date comes up. We know that the state legislature really shamelessly or shamefully voted to end it on June 30th. Well, we want, of course, Governor Inslee, but Mayor Durkan also right now to extend that through the year 2021. There's all kinds of good arguments for why that needs to be done. And I believe possibly Councilmember Sawan is available and ready. If you could just indicate, and then we'll pass it over to Shama. And then of course we can come back and talk more about the ways that our movement can pressure city council members today at 2 p.m. to pass these renter protections. But without further ado, Councilmember Sawan, why don't you take it?
Thank you, Adam. And sorry, I missed a little bit of this community meeting because I was on the phone with another council member. We have to absolutely make sure in public comment that our voice of renters, working people, union members, socialists, our collective voice is heard loud and clear. We demand that the city council vote today on all the renters' rights bills, including the resolution to extend the eviction moratorium to the end of this year. We demand no delays. If people might remember, they delayed the vote on our bill to give all renters facing eviction the right to a lawyer. They delayed that vote by 2 weeks in the hope that it would derail the movement. Now it did not. And we should take great pride in the fact that our movement was not derailed by that delay. But that is the purpose of any delay. So even if a council member, so-called progressive council member presents the idea of a delay as a benign thing, as a good thing, they say things like, oh, this bill needs to be more thought out, more thoughtful. We need more technical expertise. We need it to be data driven. They will use all these phrases which are truly empty. They don't mean anything. Or what they are disguising is the fact that they want to delay the vote so that whatever momentum ordinary people have built to come up to this point, that movement hopefully will dissipate, and that when the bill comes to a vote later on, that people will be scattered, demoralized. They won't know that the vote actually didn't happen today, but it is on a different day. They hope to confuse the movement and demoralize renters. so that then they can introduce watering down loopholes. That is why we have to demand with one voice, no delays, no watering down, no loopholes for corporate landlords. We need strong renters' rights bills to pass today because the COVID pandemic and the economic crisis that ordinary people face, which is tens of thousands of people in Seattle and hundreds of thousands of people, if not over 1 million statewide, that the cost of all these crises has been put on the shoulders of renters and working people, and we simply don't accept that. And the renters' rights bills today are merely the first step of what we need. In fact, they are building towards what we want to win, which is a full-fledged renters' bill of rights. And as many of you know, our office has an unparalleled track record on winning renters' rights since 2016. We have won renters' rights that we were thought of as unwinnable. But the reason we won was because rather than rely on insider negotiations and private conversations with other elected officials, our office turns outward and we help to organize and mobilize ordinary people, in this case, renters, union members, socialists. I wanted to thank UAW 4121, the Seattle Education Association, and also the Martin Luther King County Labor Council as a whole, who have all weighed in publicly and told the city council, you need to pass these bills without any watering down, without any loopholes. So it's important that we raise our voice today. This is a big renters' rights day, as Adam said, and we need to make sure that we not only win the ban against school year evictions of school kids and their educators and all the staff. We refuse for public school staff to be divided and conquered. We want all school staff to be covered, and we want to make sure that the eviction moratorium is extended to the end of this year at the very least. And we want to use today's momentum. We want to make sure we fight to win today, and we want to base on what we win today the future of the renters' rights movement to win the full-fledged renters' bill of rights, which includes the fight to win rent control without corporate loopholes, and to win our overarching demand, which is to cancel COVID debt. The COVID debt should not be landing on the shoulders of renters, struggling homeowners, even struggling small landlords and small businesses. We need to unite and make sure that big business, big corporations, big banks, corporate developers, the real estate lobby pays for this crisis, not ordinary people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Sawant, for that really important update and just general overview of the importance of what we're fighting for today. But then also, of course, it's situated in a broader movement. We've got a whole, as I we've noted, whole renters bill of rights where we're going to be bringing further renter protections at our Renters' Rights Committee June 22nd. And then, of course, we are, off and running, gathering 20,000 signatures for rent control over the course of the next months so that City Council will take action on that critical protection for renters so that rents don't go up more than the cost of living increase. And again, we've just seen rents skyrocket over recent months. And we know that that's going to be kicking renters out of their homes, out of the city, and we want the council to take action. And in the meantime, we've got a whole series of exciting pieces of legislation that we're going to vote on, we're going to win but in the run-up to winning rent control. Let's hear from one of the volunteers who has been really active in helping us gather these signatures around rent control, but also around building support for the pieces of legislation that are being voted on today. Bia Lacombe, if you would like to talk with us a little bit about, some of the kind of pressure points that you see or the arguments in support of the different pieces of legislation, and also if you're able to, some of the experiences you might have had this weekend and in other days, talking to community members about this as a really awesome volunteer for our office recently. Go ahead, Bia.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. And it's great to see folks here. And as Adam mentioned before, hopefully there are people today watching who spoke with us over the weekend. We were all across the whole city of Seattle, in the University District, in West Seattle, in Columbia City, in Magnolia, at the different farmers markets. And it was just a really exciting experience. I've been active in the renters' rights movement for some time, and, it's pretty clear that right now, renters and working people and, even homeowners and small landlords are, see in front of them every day, the magnitude of the crisis that's facing renters, that's facing working people. As we, sort of the economy starts to recover, it's clear that renters are still being left behind, that there just has not been time for rental assistance to come into the people who need it most, and that, people were really struck by learning that if they didn't already know, that the eviction moratorium ends this month, and that the absolute crisis that is, that we're going to face, what experts have called a tsunami of evictions that could be coming down if we don't get this extended. And really, folks were absolutely understanding the urgency of this. We're excited to get involved. We're really, really eager to sign. We collected, hundreds and hundreds of signatures just this weekend, and people were really excited to see us out here talking about those issues. Thanking us for doing the work that we're doing, for engaging the community in these really important renters' rights legislation and in this movement. And yeah, not just with the bills that we're voting on today, which are so crucial, and really mobilizing people to come out to public comment, to email their council members. And I think hopefully council members are getting hundreds and hundreds of emails from people who are urging them to protect school children and families and educators from being evicted during the school year. It's something that seems so common sense, but really is going to take a fight for us to win. And all these other bills that we've got that are going to be coming down, and that including rent control, which people are really excited about. And I think there's just a really, a lot of potential here to keep building this movement, to get folks involved who haven't been involved before in this fight, who, are being really activated by seeing what can be won for renters, but also just how much there needs to be done, that we can, how the ways that we can help renters and protect them, and also just the scale of the real disaster that is facing so many renters right now. Either people we've talked to directly having those experiences and sharing those with us, but also, people they know, 1 in every 7 renters, I think is the latest data, are going to be facing eviction at the end of this month nationally, if we don't get the national moratorium extended. And state by state, this comes down to thousands and thousands of renters in major cities, and in Seattle certainly. And so it's very likely we know someone who is really directly impacted by these issues if we aren't ourselves. So really inspiring to be out talking to people, and I'm excited we're going to continue to do that and continue to collect all those signatures, and excited to see folks here for public comment, and hopefully being able to get signed up and fighting for the legislation that we can really win today if we can mobilize the movement and really powerfully. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Bia, for sharing, your experiences. And then also just, it was also something that struck me, and I know others who were out, tabling and leafleting, is of course just how much support there is, and then also just the varied ways that people express that support. And at the same time, there's a real, while there's a huge support, there's a real, it was clear most people were hearing about these pieces of legislation, the battle for rent control for the first time. So really building this movement, getting the word out is going to be critical. And of course, we're doing so safely, masked up. I know we ourselves are all vaccinated, but just as, events and festivals and the weather gets better, the opportunities to talk to people are more and more. And let's go ahead, really soon we're going to hear from Blythe Serrano, who's another person who is, volunteering, just really generously with their time over the last days, and of course, just the importance of the legislation, banning school year evictions, so that, a lot of children don't lose their homes as they're trying to study during the school year, extending the eviction moratorium through 2021. We know, of course, there are just literally millions of renters at risk of eviction. And at the same time, just the absurdity of having, I believe nationally, it's $50 billion of money available in reality for landlords to, to keep renters housed, that is just so obviously, but there's hundreds of different institutions that are, that are supposed to distribute this, just how obvious it is that, that renters need more time, and that in giving an extension of this moratorium, we can save just so many people from losing their homes. We'll go into those legislation, a little bit further. We're just a note about 9 minutes out from when people will be signing up for comment. Also want to just note that if you're on Councilmember Sawant's, if you've written an email to the, if you're one of the hundreds of people who's written emails to the council or have signed petitions, we will shortly be sending out an email which kind of goes over some of these points that we're raising now so that we can most effectively advocate to council. But let's go right now to Blythe to hear about a little more about some of the experiences this weekend at tabling and some of the arguments that you find most impactful when we're talking about how a city council should stand with renters and not corporate landlords. So Blythe, take it from here. And I know your internet's a little bit shaky, so we might not have video, but hopefully the audio is good.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, apologies for my internet problems. So yeah, this past week, I and other volunteers with Shamus office were tabling and getting signatures for rent control, and also in support of these other components of the Renters' Bill of Rights throughout a bunch of different neighborhoods in Seattle. And it was really inspiring to see just how much citywide support there is. It's not just people within Shamus' own district, people in West Seattle, people in the University District, people in Fremont, like everywhere in Seattle. The rents are too expensive, and you have everybody we spoke to like absolutely recognize this. I think one statistic that jumps out to me is the fact that rents in Seattle have gone up 15% just since the start of this year. And in talking to people, they were appalled by that, but also not surprised. Like so many people, I definitely spoke with people who are like, oh yeah, I've had to like move recently because of rent increases. These bills that we were putting for, in addition to rent control, I think so many renters just see this as like a common sense thing, and it makes perfect sense. And when people are concerned about how this will impact landlords, this is honestly somewhat baffling to me, because we're not saying that landlords have to pay less rent, or have to rather receive less in rent. We're just saying that they can't continue to raise rent beyond what working people can afford. Wages have not gone up anything close to the amount that rents have gone up. And this is something that, most renters and working people absolutely recognize and absolutely are supportive of. And then, the COVID eviction moratorium as well. I think people very much recognize that this crisis is not over in any way, shape, or form. I think still less than half of the US population is vaccinated. And I apologize, a little correction. Rents have actually only gone up 13% since January, not 15%. However, this is still, way more than wages have gone up, and really incredibly unaffordable. And then I noticed that, the school children evictions ban was particularly popular among just like a whole variety of people. I spoke with students, I spoke with a lot of like families, I spoke with educators, and all of them agree that, it's ridiculous that we are in a city which has, multiple billionaires, the headquarters of Amazon, and all of these huge corporations. And at the same time, there are, I believe, about 2,000 homeless children in the public school system. Housing is absolutely a human right, and it's ridiculous that in a city with so many resources, there, are still children who do not have stable housing and are expected to, as Councilmember Sawant said, do their homework like in cars in the streets. And yeah, there's just been so much widespread support, especially, I think it's really important to highlight when people are, saying, oh, what about landlords, that this bill is not about landlords in any way. This is about protecting children. And, that is something that we absolutely need to fight for. And that does not, again, come at the expense of small landlords. This is just, a real fundamental thing that we need to be fighting for. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Blythe, for your comments, and also for all of your help gathering these signatures for rent control and talking with community members. And yeah, just as we're about 4 minutes out from, we should already be going to the, to the public comment link, which I know will, be showing people how, or we've already shown people, but we'll be shortly showing people again how to sign up for public comment. Want to just remember that, one of the ways that council members always try to, sometimes we'll see pushback against good legislation for working people or for renters is by delaying. One of the things we really want to hammer home on is that there's no reason why there should be any delays on any of these votes. We want no delays today. And of course, another thing is we see, always there's the threat of, loopholes or watering down. We want no watering down. We want the strongest possible renter protections. We've talked a lot about the eviction moratorium and the reasons for why we need to extend that through 2021. Of course, the importance of banning school year evictions, no brainer, but we have to, of course, make sure that we have no watering down of that. And then the loopholes, we want renters to have the right of first refusal. Right now you could be living in a place 20 years, you could have, 5 children, and at the end of your fixed term lease, if the landlord doesn't want you to live there anymore, they can just evict you. We want that to not be the case. We want renters, families, working people to have the right of first refusal. If they're going to have to, if a landlord is going to be kicking people out, they should be having to provide just cause. And then, of course, the legislation Councilmember Morales has put forward to provide COVID debt eviction defense for renters. We don't want people losing their homes because they lost pay or income through no fault of their own during the COVID pandemic. Of course, we don't want anybody to be evicted. We want the extension of the eviction moratorium, but we also want that to be a defense against eviction in perpetuity. So we want to pass all of these pieces of legislation. We're just a couple of minutes out. And of course, we're not alone. It's the hundreds of people who have emailed, hundreds of people have signed on just this weekend, but also the Seattle Education Association and its members weighing in support of banning school year evictions, MLK Labor, emailing in support also of banning school year evictions, I believe. And also, we've got UAW, weighing in on school year evictions and extending the eviction moratorium. So we've got labor, supporters, union supporters, so many activists, and of course, working class renters as a whole. And right now, we'll just be, let's, in a minute here, kick it over to Nick Jones, who, I know is going to be showing us once again how to sign up for public comment as it opens up. In just about a minute, it should open up. We want to all be signing up. It's just 1 minute that we'll have to speak to city council members most likely, but that really has an impact as we're able to advocate for these really amazing renter protections and demonstrate to council members how even during the middle of the day, working people are there with their voice inside City Hall, making it clear that they should stand with renters, not with corporate landlords. So go ahead, Nick, take it. And Nick, are you able to?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I've just been sitting here refreshing. It should go live any moment, just as Adam was saying. And hopefully folks feeling more prepared now to speak in public comment. It really does make a huge difference when we're able to use our movement to lift, all of our collective voices to impact this legislation. It's how we are able to really win things like, not only dams on tax and $50 minimum wage, but hopefully today, stopping evictions of school children, extending the just cause, or closing the just cause loophole and extending the eviction moratorium. It is 12 o'clock, so this should be live at any moment. It isn't redirecting properly. I've never had this happen before. But definitely, folks, if you never get in public comment, you should definitely. Maybe other people are having this issue.
It's live, Nick.
Okay, must be my computer. So it should be live. Hopefully you should not be getting this Google form. It should say, name, first, your name, phone number, email. It's going to be really important. Oh, here we go. All right, yeah. You should be filling this out as quickly as possible. We really want everyone to be able to speak, and oftentimes we'll only get maybe a half hour for public comment. But even if you don't speak, it's incredibly important you sign up. Folks, definitely put all of this in. Importantly, make sure you use an email that's super easy and accessible. They're going to send you the phone number to call in on that email. So make sure you are able to easily access, or you put in the last 5 digits of your phone number will be how they find you in the stack to make sure they can call on you. So make sure this is definitely matching with the phone that you were calling in as well. And then, yeah, you just click this. For whatever item you're addressing, you can, I like to just put in something kind of punchy, stop eviction to school children. And that way, even if you're not able to speak, they'll still get the whole list of public comments, see that everyone was calling in to stand with and speak on these really important pieces of legislation today. We're giving public comment, definitely say, thanks Councilmember Swamp for bringing forward this legislation that really puts immense pressure on them, shows that our movement is paying attention, who's fighting for them, and really does put fire under the feet of the political establishment in the city council. Part of a community organization, a labor union, anything like that, definitely mention that as well. We want to really demonstrate our collective strength and show, all these elected leaders that ordinary people are invested in this fight, that we want to see an end to these stats like 2 out of every 30 school children facing homelessness. It's just egregious, especially in this incredibly wealthy country and city, as other people have mentioned. It's absolutely intolerable. And so we can make a real big impact against this kind of injustice in the city today. So hopefully folks have submitted, be all signed up, and we'll all look forward to hearing your voice at 2 p.m. today.
All right. Thank you so much, and for Nick, for showing us that and for offering those final kind of reminders for how to most effectively pressure City Council. I want to just thank everybody once again for joining us during this community prep meeting. Hope it has been helpful, and really we look forward to hearing your voices at 2 p.m. today to effectively pressure the City Council to pass these really important and critical renter protections, and of course en route to winning further renter protections as part of this Renters Bill of Rights, and then of course being part of a movement to win rent control and even more affordable housing by taxing big business, and more important gains for working people. So we'll see you at 2 p.m. Thank you on behalf of Councilmember Shama Sawant and Solidarity.